I don't know whether you'll answer this question, but I will ask you that who asked you? Was it the Prime Minister? And two, what was the first time that you met Mr. Modi, and what were your first takeaway of that meeting?
Who asked me, meaning who asked me to join the cabinet?
The government.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Prime Minister asked
Prime
me.
Minister. Okay.
When did I meet Mr. Modi first? I met him in 2011 in November in Beijing. I never met him before.
Oh, he was Chief Minister then.
He was Chief Minister then.
Okay.
He had come on a visit, and that's how our acquaintance started. I assume in the light of later events, I must have made a good impression. I can tell you, frankly, he made a very big impression on me because by 2011, I had already done. I had done what?
Two ambassadorial postings already.
No,
right?
this was my third.
Third one. Yeah.
And I'd seen.
So Singapore and Czech.
So I'd seen, people come and go, chief minister. I had never met someone better prepared, better, more serious, and also more. I found him very interesting. I give you and this is a person, by the way, we are meeting here for the first time. So we go through this business briefing, what he should say, who he's meeting, etc. Then he said that मैं आपसे अलग बात करना चाहता हूँ, कुछ राजनीतिक विषय हैं, उन पे भी मैं briefing लेना चाहता हूँ. It was a bit of a surprise. No chief minister had done that. And of course, he told me, I mentioned it in one piece I've written, saying, look, it's very important for me that I'm abroad. I may be from a different party, but I shouldn't say or do anything which is different, that too in a country like China. So it's very, I want you to brief me on key issues. And we were having our problems at that time. Even at that time, there was a listing problem. There was staple visas problem. They were not dealing with our northern command. There were, all these Arunachal.
There was some Gujarati diamond.
Yes, there was a bunch of Gujarati
Surat
diamond traders who had also been detained. He brought that up as well. After I was done with him, and we went for the meetings, and then we were riding in the same car. So he said, I have this habit. He said, मैं हर मीटिंग के बाद मैं debrief लेता हूँ, और अगर आपको कहीं कुछ लगता है कि things are not okay, आप इशारा करिए. Okay. So I remember this because, for me, there is a certain manner of working which he has. He's all the time like gauging, sensing, very, very sensitive to this, very keen that he should not make a mistake, that he should convey things accurately, that the policy, that the nuances are captured. This was my first experience of him. After that, I didn't see him till he became Prime Minister.
Okay. Is it the same now, before he travels, after he travels, when you travel? Is it the same kind of thing, foreign policy matters, you talk to each other, where he asks questions, you answer, you ask questions, he answers? Is that how it works?
No, it is and it isn't. I mean, intrinsically it is the same, but it's now on a totally different scale and league.
Sure.
So now what happens is usually, we would strategize before, we spend, usually I'd say even not at the beginning of the year, but even in the previous year, we start thinking, what should we be doing? Where are we going? Who should we engage? That kind of strategy session. When it comes to something specific, it would be like we would go through the details of where we are going. What are the objectives? Who are we meeting? What are their objectives? So there's a kind of I would say strategizing and a game planning which goes well ahead, and then it's repeatedly visited, reviewed. So sometimes even in the midst of meetings, you would see us, one of us lean across and say something to him, or him doing the same. or if there's a break in a meeting, we would have a quick confabulation. I mean, you could, since ANI films a lot of this, you would often see, there's a quick huddle where you're quickly saying something, we are updating, or he's sharing. He's,
we can't hear though because there's no microphone.
Fortunate. Thank God you can't hear because, that would kind of destroy our strategizing.
We should get somebody to see the lip syncing and see what's happening there.
But he's a very discussive person, if you know what I mean. And he has views, but he's very open to, opinion, agreement, disagreement, improvement, mitigation. It's very sort of, how do I say, interactive.
Lots of people say that he's a very ideas kind of a man. In fact, some of the questions were on YouTube with that, and my team has made a video which I'm going to show it to you.
I'm part of the East. I'm part of the South. I'm part of the West. I'm universal. I'm India. Someone to say I'm doing this because it is for counter-terrorism. You're not fooling anybody by saying these things. Mr. Soros is a old, rich, opinionated person. If I could only stop at old, rich and opinionated, I would put it away. But he's old, rich, opinionated and dangerous. Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems. But the world's problems are not Europe's problems. Our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon. I don't think we're sitting on the fence. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't make me sitting on the fence. It means I'm sitting on my ground. I'm entitled to have my own side. I'm entitled to weigh my own interests, make my own choices. You're asking the wrong minister when you say, how long will we do this? Because it is the ministers of Pakistan who will tell you how long Pakistan intends to practice terrorism. If you have snakes in your backyard, you can't expect them to bite only your neighbors. Eventually, they will bite the people who keep them in the backyard. If I were to take Europe collectively, which has been singularly silent on many things which were happening, for example in Asia, you could ask, why would anybody in Asia trust Europe on anything at all? If you are asking me, I would say yes, 2014 was a watershed moment. Yes, things have changed better after 2014. Yes, our foreign policy has become more dynamic, more effective, more prominent after 2014.
Mr. Modi was very famous and very demanding. So how do you deal with that?
I'm so glad you chose that understated word, demanding. Yes, I think the Prime Minister is demanding. I think he's rightly demanding, because it's time that India had a demanding person as Prime Minister. It's tough to work for a demanding boss, but at the end of the day, you actually, if you feel that's the kind of person the country needs, I think you're willing to do whatever you have to do at that time.
Two democracies will end it differently. And if you can prove that concept here, then I think it's probably the best way to sell democracy.
Don't worry, Senator, one democracy will settle it. And you know which one.
Okay. Lindsey Graham. So this,
all right.
So this is what we, my team got this together. Okay. And the same thing about being a demanding prime minister. One has heard about how you have 11 p.m. meetings and 11